6. Six Strong Signs You Have Narcissistic Abuse Syndrome by Kim Saeed. Find more articles like this on letmereach.com. Like many people who've endured narcissistic and emotional abuse, you probably didn't realize what was happening to you until you reached a point of near insanity and began searching desperately for reasons why your fairy tale romance took a grievous turn for the worse. Further, the person you love has made you feel you can't do anything right. The salvation of the relationship always lies on the distant horizon and is entirely dependent upon your changing something about yourself, which is impossible to do in spite of frantic efforts on your part, because your self-absorbed mate constantly changes the goalposts. While these shady behaviors on your partner's part are indicators of having a destructive personality disorder, there are other very strong signs that your partner may be a narcissist, which have more to do with how their behavior affects you. If the following signs describe your life, it's likely that your partner is a narcissist, which means your relationship problems are undeniably not your fault. 1. You almost always feel alone, down to the core of your soul. While your partner may be living with you, eating meals at your table, and sleeping beside you in bed, you've never felt such stark loneliness. You often find yourself curled in the fetal position, envisioning someone coming to put their arms around you to help relieve your feelings of isolation. The reason you feel this way is because you're living with a mirage of the person you love. That person doesn't exist, and meanwhile, you are being abandoned in every way possible. According to Susan Anderson, author of The Journey from Abandonment to Healing, abandonment has its own kind of grief, a powerful grief universal to human beings. The grief can be acute, as when we go through the ending of a relationship, or chronic, as when we feel the impact of earlier losses and disconnection. Abandonment's wound lies deep and invisible. It tugs and pulls, making it hard to let go, always acting beneath the surface, spilling primal fear into moments of disconnection, disappointment, and loss, generating feelings of insecurity and self-doubt that persist into future relationships. Unresolved abandonment is a primary source of self-sabotage. If you feel your partner simply puts up with you, only coming around to keep you strung along, it's because you serve a purpose. If communicating with your partner leaves you feeling unheard, unstable, and frustrated, it's because they don't care about you, much less what you have to say. A person who loves you would want to spend time with you, know all about you, and ensure that you feel safe and cared for. 2. You don't feel good enough. Although you've proven success in your career, have built a solid foundation for yourself, receive compliments regarding your accomplishments and even your looks, you've begun to feel like an imposter. No matter the kudos you receive from the outside world, your partner doesn't seem to notice, and worse, mocks you for them. Narcissists mock and ridicule for many reasons, including making themselves appear superior, but the main reason they mock their victims' triumphs is because they aspire to destroy their victims' self-esteem. What better way to keep you under their rule than to make you believe that no matter what you accomplish, you're still a loser underneath it all? Sadly, this works quite effectively in many cases, resulting in victims of this type of abuse becoming so broken and dysfunctional that they lose everything. Careers, children, homes, licenses, such as those required to perform as doctors, attorneys, and therapists, bank accounts, and worst of all, their sense of self. If you've noticed yourself feeling overwhelmingly insignificant inside of your relationship and a failure at life in general, which coincides with the time spent with your partner, this is a sign of narcissistic abuse. 3. You feel engulfed by the relationship. One of the trademarks of narcissistic individuals is the way they hijack their victim's world, effectively consuming every moment of the day. This engulfment can be observed in the way they call, text, and email numerous times a day, often well into the hundreds, encourage you to detach from friends and family, dictate how you should dress and/or wear your hair, display excessive jealousy, and sometimes even control what you eat. This engulfment also consists of the walking on eggshells feeling and persistent anxiety that you experience. This comes from the fear of not knowing what will upset your volatile partner. Therefore, every action you take must be prefaced with a detailed analysis of whether or not it will upset them, and even then, your best thought-out plans may crumble around your feet, leaving you with a gnawing feeling of despair and hopelessness. Healthy relationships do not make you feel like a prisoner. You should feel free to be yourself and rest easy in your nuclear and extended relationships with friends and family. 4. You've begun to compromise your personal integrity and values. In the past, you stood up for what you believed in, but inside of your relationship, you've started tolerating and possibly taking part in things that make you uncomfortable because, ironically, doing these things is how you've come to believe you can show your love to your partner. You focus all your energies on how to make your partner love you and treat you once again like the soulmate they said you were. Paradoxically, in the name of love, you may have found yourself watching porn at your partner's insistence, considering a threesome, or other demeaning sexual activities that make you feel sick to the stomach when you think of them. In other cases, you may have stopped leaving tips at restaurants, donating time or money, volunteering, and participating in other philanthropic activities because your domineering partner has told you those things are a waste of time and money and/or mocks you for doing them. Even worse, your children may have taken a back seat to the constant drama. A caring and trusting partner would never force you to participate in things that make you feel uncomfortable or insecure, nor would they coerce you to stop taking part in charitable activities. If your partner has led you to believe that you can only prove your love by violating your values, then you are in an abusive relationship. There is no loophole in this regard that disqualifies your partner from being abusive, no matter what they would have you believe. You feel unworthy due to your partner's name-calling. It's one thing for your partner to call you pet names, or even tease you on occasion, but another entirely to call you crybaby, a moody bitch, or not a man, unstable, crazy, or other hurtful names, which are intended to hurt you. Name-calling is a form of abuse. It is used to belittle you and make you question your worth. It is employed during rage attacks and blame storms, and alternately under the guise of joking. Whether your partner is arguing with you, or the two of you are having a good day, name-calling is never appropriate. Note that narcissists and other abusers call their partners names and then pretend they're kidding, i.e., you're too sensitive, or I was only joking. This is a trademark of verbal abuse, and it's no different with your partner, regardless of whatever excuses they lob at you. Having a difficult childhood, bad past relationships, or stress at the workplace doesn't give them the right to embarrass you, humiliate you, put you down, or make you feel guilty. 6. You are exhausted by you feel guilty. As they lob at you. Having a difficult childhood, bad past relationships, or stress. At the workplace doesn't give them the right to embarrass you, humiliate you, put you down, or make you feel guilty. 6. You are exhausted by the repeated cycles of hurt and rescue. This tactic preys on your emotions. Here, the narcissist causes you a great deal of stress and anxiety, and then abruptly relieves that stress. The most common tactic used by the narcissist in this category is the silent treatment, which evokes your fear of abandonment. When the narcissist finally returns, you experience a rush of euphoric relief. Repeated cycles of hurt and rescue are emotionally exhausting. This is the same method used in police interrogations to get a person to confess, sometimes even when they are innocent. When the narcissist returns after numerous stints of the silent treatment, you are emotionally defenseless and more prone to accepting their offensive behaviors in order to avoid their leaving you again. Further, this often leads to your pleading, apologizing, and begging the narcissist to stay, even when you have done no wrong. Hurt and rescue cycles explain why narcissistic abuse victims experience cravings and obsessive thoughts once no contact has been executed. According to an experiment inspired by Langeblank and Chanovitz, 1978, and recently conducted by Dolinsky and Navrat, when the event that provokes and justifies one's experience of fear is suddenly removed, i.e. no contact with the narcissist, we may experience a short-lasting state of disorientation. During this period of disorientation, people function automatically and mindlessly, engaging in automatic pre-programmed actions. In other words, even when we've gone no contact, we tend to engage in the same obsessive thoughts and behaviors as when we were still with the narcissist and endured the silent treatment, because our subconscious minds cannot tell the difference. What it all means. If you constantly wonder about the status of your relationship, ruminate about what you could do differently, believe the problems in your relationship are all your fault, constantly obsess about what your partner is up to, experience mood swings, are constantly fearful and anxious, and/or feel like less of a person than before you met your partner. These are the signs of narcissistic abuse syndrome, and you have been the victim of emotional abuse. The good news is that you can untangle yourself from the toxic relationship. However, it's important to understand that the aftermath of emotional trauma needs to be taken seriously. The most effective programs for recovery include going no contact, with the help of a coach if necessary, finding a licensed therapist who specializes in emotional trauma, incorporating energy healing techniques, and implementing healthy boundaries. You can find many of these resources in the Essential No Contact Bootcamp. See the description box below this video for more information.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Soul GPS, where we learn to take our life back in our hands after narcissistic abuse. And today I'm coming to you from a town called La Spezia. It's a port town in northwestern part of Italy. And I was just walking through town, and I went to see the water, and came upon this really beautiful park, and I thought of shooting a video for you guys here. So I apologize for the shakiness. I'm trying to just hold my camera. Hopefully it will work. It won't be too disturbing. And the things that were on my mind today were some notes that you have left with respect to two topics in particular. One was just feeling lonely after having been through the breakup. Sometimes the breakup extends all the way to your family and friendships. It can be definitely an awakening experience that really spreads into a much wider perspective. And what that tends to do is it tends to make us want to withdraw into our own space. We lose trust. We can also battle with a loss of self-trust again, because how could we have let this happen, right? How could we have followed our heart into the trap, right? So all of these things tend to really come up, especially in the first couple of months after the breakup or after going no contact with a family member. But it can also extend. It can extend into a longer period. In some cases, I've heard from some of you, it's been a year, sometimes 2 years after the shocking revelation, and you're still struggling with just not wanting to go out, put yourself out there, and so on. So first of all, I want to say to you that two things. Thing number one, the world is a pretty upside down place. It is filled with all sorts of shady characters. So I do not blame you for wanting to isolate and wanting to stay in your little shell. However, the world is also full of amazing people that can't wait to meet you and amazing things you can do. So I think what we need to do in those moments is find a balance, find something that really resonates with us. So in the beginning, when the wounds are really raw, I think it's really important to really take time off, especially take time off from dating, because you're most likely going to run back into yet another abusive character, since you're used to the pattern. All of these mechanisms that have worked throughout your life, they are still operating. It is going to take some time. It's like an engine running, and it's like you turn off the keys, but it's still hot, it's still buzzing, so you got to give yourself a little bit of time to really come to yourself. And this can be a really sacred time of self-discovery. Certainly something that I did, which was an unusual thing for me, because I was so afraid of being alone most of my life. I was so scared, so I would run from one place to another, always trying to fill out that yawning hole, that gap that was left inside me after actually I traced it all the way back to my home from which I grew up, that I never really felt I had the acknowledgement or the support or the deep empathy from my parents that a child needs. So I would always go out and look for it elsewhere. So it's really important to come to yourself and heal, but the healing takes work. So I want to make this clear, is that just by feeling that the time is going to do the work, by letting the time do the work, it's not enough. Time doesn't heal. Time conceals. It's not my quote. I wish it was. I heard it from Nick Guthrie, a great coach who works with trauma, abused children, and adults as well. And I can put a link to a website down below. But time doesn't heal. Time conceals. So if you've been, going through the same motions in your life that you have before the abuse, and you've been waiting for your broken heart and for your broken mind, because it can definitely affect our mind and perception, to heal by itself, you're wasting quite a bit of time that you could be spending living your life to the fullest. So it really takes some work. and I read they're great books that I would recommend. You really need to just find out first and foremost what it is that you need, and then either you can also work with a psychotherapist. You could read books about the subject. Journaling, as I always say, really helps to clarify what's really going on inside you, and it's kind of like a step-by-step process. It's like follow the yellow brick road process, right? It's like follow the breadcrumbs. Maybe that's better, because the Wizard of Oz might not be the best analogy. It's such a bizarre story, but you get the idea, right? So you got to follow. It's a step at a time. You don't need to have the full perspective or how exactly you need to heal. You just need to know the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step. But stay connected with yourself. If you have tendencies to go through CPTSD crashes, which is often the case with trauma victims and narcissistic abuse targets, what I really recommend is going within and stalking, as Meredith Miller calls it, stalking your inner dialogue. And so what you do is you're listening for the self-critic. And the book by Pete Walker, CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving, is exceptional. If you just get that one book, and give yourself some time to get through it. It's a heavy read. I mean, not heavy, it's easy to read, but it's very dense. So you can read a paragraph and literally sit with it for a day or two. It's that good. So he talks a lot about the critic and the whole mechanism. He really has been able to dissect the mind of the abuse victim, and how to take your survival stage, come from survival and begin to thrive, which is what we want to do, and which is what I want for all of you guys here. And I want you to thrive. I want you to take this experience and turn it into something incredibly constructive and positive and empowering in your life. And you can do that. But you need to, like I said, go within and sort of put the house back together. I found that from the experience in my life has been really akin to like a hurricane going through my house, and it leveled everything. And then I started putting things back together, by rearranging my space. And then every time that I would get hoovering attempts or some other form of manipulation that was coming from my family, it was like another gust of wind went through, and I had to do it over and over and over again. The recovery for me, the most important thing about the recovery for me was planning my trip. It was doing something radically different, doing something I haven't done before. And so, which is why I'm on this journey, which is why I'm traveling. And I'm finding it that it's really not that expensive. I wonder if I should make a video just about that. If any of you guys would benefit from that, let me know. But changing the environment is really great. If you have the opportunity, I know this might be not the most appropriate thing to say to many of you, because I know a lot of your circumstances with children, with work, and so on. It's very difficult. It's easy for me to say now because I've kind of excised myself from the system. But it is to maybe move, maybe find a new apartment, maybe even go to another city. If you have been getting job offers to maybe relocate, maybe that might be a good idea. You know, doing at something radically different. I found that to be really helpful in my recovery. Also, not pushing myself too much into like going out and meeting people. In fact, I haven't really wanted to do that very much because I was so wounded, I was so scarred. So I would always only keep in touch with a very small group of people that I knew I could trust, people that have been in my life for a long time and been with me through the thick and thin. But when I've been thinking about your questions about, you know, if you've been isolating yourself for a couple of months or a couple of years, you know, what would I do? What would I recommend? I would recommend finding a hobby, finding something you really enjoy. Say you're really into the outdoor biking, or you're really into doing some form of crafts, or into fly fishing, or into board games, or into chess, or you always wanted to learn a new language. That's the path I would follow. It is safe, and it has a purpose attached to it. It has a vision, a mission attached to it, and you're more likely to meet people that will resonate with you. Say going to a club. A club is the last thing that I would recommend. If you do go to a club, which of course you can if you want to, say you're a girl and you just want to go with the girlfriends, or you're a guy want to go with the guys, you just want to kind of let loose, have a few drinks, and just lose yourself on the dance floor. Go for it. But with respect to meeting a partner, it's really not the best place to go. You're in such an altered, hypnotized state, and everyone else is. You might actually be in a good state because you've already been through, you know, been through so much that, you know, you've become more centered and this and that. But remember, other people are just all over the place. So it's kind of like driving on a highway, on a really, really crazy busy highway where people don't follow lanes. When we go back out there, it's like, yeah, maybe we've become a much better driver as a result of our healing, but now we have to drive very defensively because there are other people might be bumping into us. So it's kind of like double work. You need to watch yourself, and you need to watch your surroundings, but it's worth it. It's worth it. I call it being the mind ninja, or a life ninja. You're doing things with intent. So, you know, given the fact that we have a limited time here on earth, might as well take the time and do things right, as opposed to rush into yet another relationship, or, you know, desperately try to find something to do or find somebody to fill that void. That sense of loneliness, that sense of dejection, that sense of hurt, all of them. I remember I made a video about the summertime sadness. It's one of my first videos here on this channel. I remember most of my life having had this experience of going to a beautiful place and standing there looking at the ocean or looking at the garden and just being in awe of everything surrounding me, but yet feeling that bitterness inside me. And I felt like I was more depressed around beauty than I was around just mundane stuff, you know, when my brain was preoccupied. The moment I relaxed, the moment I really slowed down, all of that pain would surface and it would cloud my vision. It's not happening anymore, guys. I'm like, I am so, like, if there was the one thing that I was so grateful for having gone through this experience, it's that now I can go anywhere and I'm just present. I'm just here, and I look at people walking, I smile at them, they smile back. I look at kids, I look at the beauty surrounding me, and I'm in full trust that the universe, that is infinitely more wise than me, is going to land the right people on my path. And it's been going amazing. This trip's been amazing. I have not had really any challenging, difficult encounters. And if I sense that there's anyone with an attitude, you know, coming at me, I just take a left turn, you know, or if I'm in a restaurant and something feels off, I just step out, you know, or if I'm walking to a street and something feels iffy, I just go down another street. So it really will make you so much more follow your intuition. And this whole thing about loneliness, guys, listen, the more you evolve, the more you work on yourself, the more actualized you become, the less people are gonna be there to admire the beauty of the view and the vista. It's like you climbing a mountain. So yes, there will be that. But there are some experiences, I believe, that are just between you and God, or you and the universe, or you and Allah, or you and, I don't know, whatever spiritual path you subscribe to. They're really not meant to be shared with other people, and that's okay. And when you come to the realization and the peace, knowing this, that you're never really lonely, because the awareness of whatever force created this universe and your awareness are really linked. You know, we are part of the universe, so we're inside of it. And we're inside of we're not outside of the universe looking at it like an object. We're inside. We are made, these are our parents. Our parents is the feminine and the masculine energies that created all of this. And we are it. We are of it. And connecting with that sense of awareness, that sense of love, deep love and belonging, you know, bypassing all of the, you know, occult practices and ritualistic things, which there's a ton of that. And some of it is so polluted with negativity and manipulation and mind control. You know, the whole, what do you call it? Just occult arts, right? Just like bypassing all of that stuff. It's like you look at a table and you see all of that shit out of it, and you just like move your arm across it and let it all just drop to the floor. You don't need any of that. All you need is to be here, to be with yourself, to be aware that you're aware, to be aware of the fact that you're alive, to be aware of the infinity of space and time, and the fact that we have in this life this opportunity to experience what it is to live on Earth, and really make most of this experience, and know that you're always taken care of, know that you're always provided for, and know that we can't really die. I don't think, now we're getting into kind of the spiritual territory. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my own beliefs, but I really don't believe that we ever die. I think we just change a form. And so this experience, like nothing can really hurt us. What happened with the narcissist really hurt our earthly domain. It hurt our mind, it hurt our body, it hurt our emotions. We can heal from all of this, and in the grand scheme of things, it's an experience that is enriching, that is an element of part of our hero's journey, that is part of something that is going to make us that much more whole, that much more aware of who we really are. Because honestly, had I not gone through the horror of what had happened, I would never have linked it back to the origin of narcissistic abuse that I had in my life, and how that contributed to really screwing up my perception. And without knowing what screwed up my perception and my approach and my belief system towards life, I would have never been able to go back there and put the things back in order. You know, and so that's the gift. I think that's the gift. Do I think that there is a reason for this evil, these narcissists, to be here on the planet? I really don't know. I ask myself about this. I wonder about this, because I wonder what would life be if they were not here. You know, how we would evolve. Maybe we would live in a perpetually happy hobbit land, you know, where just people are happy and we're all very kind towards each other, and maybe by now we would be, you know, doing intergalactic travel and meeting with other civilizations. I mean, who knows? You know, I'm a fiction writer, so I like to go into these fantasy worlds. But I really do not believe that we really need, you know, all of this suffering to begin with. But since it is here, since we were not really able to avoid it, since we were exposed to it since we were children, I believe in finding out mechanisms that will allow us to overcome it. And I think the return back to the original sin, to the original moment of abuse, which typically happens in our homes, and the subsequent conditioning of feeling like that is just normal and no one should talk about it. It's a secret, you know, where like, this is how it is. You're why are you so sensitive? What are you talking about? You know, you're just making a big deal out of it. Don't worry about it. You know, you're just this and this and that. And I was just joking, and you just can't take a joke, and all of that stuff, right? we need to be aware that that is something that is just been so accepted in our society, and it isn't okay. And this is where the boundaries come in, when we say, no, I am not going to accept this anymore. This ends with me, and I'm not going to treat other people this way. And I'm so glad I've survived. My essence has survived the onslaught, the war on my spirit, and I did not break. I'm able to still feel for others. I'm able to still be compassionate, and now I can turn all of that love and compassion towards myself to heal myself. And if you do this, if you really cultivate this sense of self-love, amazing things will start to happen. Amazing people will start coming into your life. It's almost like you will create this sub-reality of goodness and love and prosperity for yourself. You know, while all the other stuff just keeps happening out there, you're just no longer subscribing to that bullshit. You're no longer subscribing to that low-level vibration. You're creating your own thing. And if we all did that en masse, I think we can really influence this world and make it a better place for our future generations. So if you feel lonely, know that you're never lonely. Know that the energy that has created the universe is with you, is always with you. Know that we are here together too, we the survivors, hopefully soon the thrivers. We're here together holding hands in our healing journey. And if you feel like it is time for you to step out, or like you've been struggling with connecting with society, reconnecting, follow the path that most resonates with who you are. Join a fun club, join sports club, do something that is going to be constructive with your spirit, and the right people will begin to come into your life. I hope this video helped you. Let me know in the comment section. I have more videos coming soon. Thank you for following my journey here with me, and also thank you so much for all the comments you're leaving, especially when you're helping one another. I really would like this community to be one of real sharing. There were a couple of trolls that came around. I kicked them out. I could leave them, but I just don't want to. I don't want to traumatize us with more negativity. So I'm like, access denied. I don't want these kinds of people here. But I'm sending a much love to all of you. I look forward to reconnecting again. And in the meantime, keep following your inner comment letter. Guys, that is truly going to help you up level and upgrade, not just who you are, but also the environment in which you are. Wishing you all the best, and I'll catch you in another video. Ciao, ciao.
Hello, I'm Steve.
No, I don't like this.
Welcome to this healing hypnosis and guided meditation to help you free yourself from negative.
Hello, I'm Steve.